Okay, so we're starting with an IELTS task 2, and our pattern is to what extent do you agree or disagree? Okay, so it's an argumentative essay style, and so we want to have our introduction, you want to have reason 1 that you agree or disagree, reason 2 that you agree or disagree, and then your conclusion. Okay, so that's the easiest way to do it. And let's take a look at the topic. So the topic is increasing the price of petrol is the best way to solve growing traffic and pollution problems. To what extent do you agree or disagree? What other measures do you think might be effective? Okay, so it's given you a sort of 2 parts. So you've got to give your opinion, your agreement or disagreement, and then some kind of suggestion about something else that we could do to solve traffic and pollution other than increasing the price of petrol. Okay, so you've got to make sure that you cover both parts of the task in your answer, because that's part of your task completion score. And you've got to see and double check that you've given both your opinion and you've given an alternative solution. Okay, so let's take a look and see what this candidate's written. It is obvious that one of the highest priorities today is to find a solution to the various environmental problems threatening mankind. While it is sometimes argued that it would be effective to raise the cost of petrol to reduce traffic and gas emissions, I personally disagree with this idea. Okay, so this is a really nice introduction. Okay, it's only 2 sentences. Now, typically, I like to sort of try and go for 3 sentences in an introduction, but this candidate has done a really good job with just 2. So that proves that you don't always need to follow what your teacher says. They give their background information sentence. Okay, so you've got our background information. Okay, that the debate is we need to find a solution to environmental problems. Okay, and then we've got what we call our thesis statement or our opinion. Okay, so their thesis statement is that they disagree with this idea. Okay, so already, they've answered the first part of the question, which is agree or disagree. It's telling us that they disagree. Okay, so if they wanted to add a little bit more in, I always suggest adding in what we call the subtopics. Okay, which is giving a hint as to why you disagree with it, some of the reasons why. So you might say, I personally disagree with this idea as it is only a short-term solution. Okay, so you're giving a bit more of a hint and a bit more of a summary as to what you're going to talk about later on in the essay. But overall, I think this is a pretty strong introduction. The grammar is good, the vocabulary is good. Let's see what they've written next. To begin with, there are arguments in favour of increasing the price of petrol. One of the reasons can be that people are likely to use more public transport than automobiles if governments increase the price of petrol by imposing more taxes on it. It is said that one of the major causes of air pollution in cities is car use. Accordingly, increasing the tax level on petrol might help curtail the amount of carbon dioxide we produce and slow down the rate of global warming and air pollution. This is a great paragraph. Okay, we've got a strong, what we call our topic sentence, okay? So when we have our topic sentence, it's telling us clearly what's the theme of the paragraph going to be. We're going to talk about arguments in favour, okay? Then the candidate gives one of the reasons. They explain what it is. They give a hypothetical. If they increase the price of petrol and impose more tax on it, people are more likely to use public transport. Then they explain their logic, okay? So why is that going to help? Well, we're going to reduce car use, okay, and then we're going to cut the amount of carbon dioxide, and this is going to slow down the rate of global warming and air pollution. So it's very logically explained, and they've really gone into detail to try and show the cause and effect relationship. Okay, which I like. The only thing I would suggest that they add in is they could give me an example or some evidence from real life. So this is something you can make up. So you could give me an example. Let's say maybe there's a country that has already done this. So you could just lie. In Amsterdam, the government has already increased prices of petrol, and as a result, car usage and gas emissions went down 30%. Okay, you can lie, you can make it up. But the only thing I can suggest to add in here would be an example. But otherwise, a very strong paragraph. However, one of the best options that can be taken is to develop and invest in renewable energy. It does not only have to be done by the government level, so it would be at the government level, but also the general public can also initiate actions. We don't need 2 alsos here. They can buy the equities or bonds of the electricity or utility companies supplying the energy so that the companies can devise components for the equipment that is needed to create power that does not burn fossil fuels. As a result, electric cars are more likely to be affordable among motorists. This initiative would reduce and rectify the environmental damage around the globe in the long term. Again, a really well-written paragraph. What I'd like to commend this candidate on is their grammar. Their grammar is very good, strong, clear, easy to understand. Everything they're talking about is relevant. They explain themselves real well. Again, the only thing I would suggest that they can add in here is an example, just because it helps give you a bit more substance to your essay. It helps make your argument a little bit stronger. Then let's look at conclusion. In conclusion, it seems to me that increasing the level of taxation on fuel can possibly be a short-term solution to air pollution. Hence, individuals' efforts should be made to change their lifestyle to make the environment greener and redress the environmental issues. Yeah, and then again, we've got a very reasonable conclusion. They summarize the issue. They link back to the question. There's so much good things going on in this conclusion. So, I mean, this is one of those very rare essays where I have very few corrections to make. So in terms of task achievement, I think they achieved the task real well. The only thing I think they could add in would be, like I kept saying, was examples. But in terms of task achievement, I probably want to give them a sort of a 7. Cohesion and coherence, it sort of linked together quite nicely. I thought that was very good. I would want to give a 7 for that. Vocabulary, I thought their vocabulary choices were really very good. The only thing they were sort of missing were those more kind of idiomatic phrases or expressions. Okay, and sometimes their sentences were a little bit long. Okay, so I would advise them to look a little bit more at commas and punctuation. But overall, I barely did any grammar correcting. So I would say, yeah, I would probably want to give a 7 across the board. So I would say an overall 7. I thought it was a very strong essay. Add in a couple of examples. Make sure your sentences aren't getting too long. But I thought it was great. So well done to the student.